Yo! So my engine has a bit of an oil leak going on. Now these oil leaks can originate from a variety of different places. The valve cover, the VTEC solenoid gasket, the cam caps, and so forth. So what we're going to do is slowly over the course of the next few videos is diagnose the issue basically by replacing all of these parts though. Today's video we're going to start with both the upper and lower VTEC solenoid gaskets. The next video will probably be the cam cap, and then after that the valve cover gaskets, spark plug gaskets, and so forth. My suspicion is that it's either the cam cap or the VTEC solenoid gasket. So we're going to start with those, and this video will be solely dedicated to the VTEC solenoid gasket. So let's get started. So as you can see, the leak is pretty bad. There's a lot of oil collecting along the transmission and the engine surface, and I believe it's coming all the way from up here, which is the VTEC solenoid here, or the cam cap, which is this black thing here. It is a windy ass day today here in Melbourne, so I'm hoping you guys aren't getting too much wind noise. First thing we have to do is remove the VTEC solenoid entirely. Okay, so I couldn't actually get the switch off, and I don't want to break that just yet. So what we're going to do is tackle the three 10mm bolts required to get the solenoid off and see if we can work around it. So that's one of the seals we'll be replacing. So as you can see, the gasket hasn't done a very good job of actually sealing the solenoid off because there's oil all around the place. We'll get this old gasket out, clean it up, and I think that may be the culprit. So we've momentarily reattached it again, and we're taking the top 3 bolts off so that we can get to the gasket underneath this.
The third place was me.
Oh!
With 39.152.
Oh no!
Second place was Isham.
What?
With 38.136.
Jeez.
And first place overall, so fastest lap of everyone. Tom with 37.996.
What?
Looks like you boys are shouting at dinner and Adam's jumping in the pond.
It's one day later, and this is what my engine block now looks like. As you can see, the installation did not go to plan. I'm fairly certain that is the gasket that we just replaced that's creating this mess. and it's worse than it was before we installed it. So there are two possible routes to this issue. The first is I installed it incorrectly, and the second is that the gasket was bad. Now the installation itself was really easy, and it's hard to do anything wrong. I took the solenoid off again, and the gasket was seated properly. So my guess is that it was just a shit gasket, and that's what happens when you don't go OEM. This is OEM, that's cheap. And in the ad for this gasket, it says this is detachable like OEM, but the OEM one isn't detachable. It's held in there securely with rubber on both sides, whereas this obviously just comes out. So I think this is obviously the issue. This is 6 times cheaper than this. However, this is worthless because it does not do the job at all. New gaskets in. I think there's a good seal. You're meant to torque the bolts down to about, I think it's 8.7 foot-pounds of torque, and I don't have a torque wrench, obviously that's small enough to reach those figures, so I've just hand tightened it and then a bit extra, and I've also cleaned up this area so that as soon as I turn the car on, we can bring the camera back here and look out for any leaks. Still no leak. So the previous gasket by now was already splurting oil down there, and there were streaks of oil just shooting down the transmission and the belt housing. So, success guys. And that's how I went about replacing the VTEC Solenoid gasket on my Honda Integra. And what an easy process that was. It was removing 6 bolts, 2 gaskets, clean the surface, mate it back up, and you're good to go. That would have taken very little time had if it weren't for the fact that I purchased a really shit gasket. And that leads me to my next point. I learned a lot during the process of this, and it's don't skimp out on gaskets. OEM gaskets were designed and engineered exactly for the car that you're working on, so use them. At the end of the day, it's cheaper than actually going for a crap gasket and then having to buy the original anyway. With that being said, it's still such an easy gasket to replace. So if you have an oil leak, check the VTEC Solenoid gasket. Next up, we're probably going to do the cam cap, because that's also a potential leak area, but I do believe we've rectified the main culprit. So thanks for watching guys. I honestly appreciate the support. You know, like the video, comment, leave feedback, ask some questions, subscribe if you already haven't, because it means the world to me. So thanks again everyone, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.